Virtual reality. An entertainment medium built for gaming, digital media, and immersive experiences alike. From Half-Life Alyx to Beat Saber, Google Earth VR, and even classic VR roller coasters. These are just a few examples of the medium's value. But beyond the games, beyond the digital landscapes, lies something different. An entire social ecosystem. A place where people meet, connect, and exist in ways that were once impossible. Yet, despite this, VR remains paradoxical. It's a space where you can be surrounded by people, yet feel completely alone. Where deep, meaningful interactions happen through digital avatars, while the physical world around you stays silent. This contradiction has always intrigued me. It raises a question. Can virtual reality truly be a social experience? Or is it just another way to isolate ourselves from reality? In this video, we'll be exploring both sides. How VR fosters connections in ways that the real world sometimes can't, but also how it can lead to a deeper social detachment. To do that, I'll be talking to people who use VR and diving into the world of VRChat, arguably the most notable, popular, and socially engaging platform in the VR space. I'll be exploring the thoughts, opinions, and personal experiences behind this concept, digging deeper to uncover whether VR is bringing us closer together or pushing us further apart. Welcome to the anti-social corner of virtual reality.
You don't know the way.
Yes, I do.
Do you know the way?
I know the way.
You have to have Ebola to know the way.
I have Ebola.
At first glance, virtual reality might seem like an isolating experience. You put on a headset, detached from the physical world, and step into a space that isn't real. And while for many virtual environments, this thought of isolation rings true, there are some on the other side of the spectrum. Within these alternative spaces, something interesting happens. It becomes a place where people meet, talk, and interact, sometimes more freely than they ever could in real life. One of the best examples of this is VRChat. Unlike traditional social media or voice chats, VRChat provides a sense of presence. Conversations aren't just text or audio. They're tied to movement, expressions, and shared environments. In a way, it simulates the physical nuances of social interaction, making digital conversations feel more personal. On top of that, these interactions aren't dictated by your real-world identity, but rather a virtual incognito one. In reality, social interactions come with unspoken expectations. Many feel the need to uphold a personal image, whether consciously or not. This can lead to a sense of restriction, where self-expression is filtered through the fear of judgment. But in VR, those barriers start to fade. Digital environments like VRChat remove the self-imposed responsibility of maintaining an image, offering people the freedom to present themselves however they choose. And while anonymity can sometimes bring out the worst in people, it can also allow others to be their truest selves. For some, VR becomes a space of genuine self-discovery, where they can explore identities and personalities in ways they never could in real life. It's a place where people who struggle with social anxiety or self-expression find comfort, where interactions feel less intimidating, and where relationships can form based on personality rather than surface-level perceptions.
All right, so first question is, do you think platforms such as VRChat allow us to be more social than we are in real life, or do you think it's the opposite?
Nah, I reckon it's pretty social. It's pretty good.
Way more social in my books.
Why is that?
Just more fun. You constantly have connections to people around the world, and there's a lot of good communities for role plays to hang out with. The whole shebang.
I mean, I've had, my moments on VRChat where, I make all these new friends and get to know all these new people. But I say, it does help, a little bit. I feel like You know, it is a good social platform.
Yeah. How different do you feel is your VR identity from your real life identity?
It's way better. Way better than my real life one, definitely.
Oh, like completely, bro.
It's completely separate.
Yeah.
Do you think one's more like the real you than the other, or is it just two different?
Absolutely.
What side do you think is more real?
Probably the more online one.
Why is that, do you think? Is it because you can just express yourself without any worry?
Yeah, that's mostly the reason.
So you prefer VR over your...
Yeah.
My real life identity is more, I don't really talk to a lot of people
Yeah.
in real life most of the time. I like to stay away from a lot of people. But in VRChat, and just VR in general, and gaming in general, my gaming identity is completely different because people don't know what I look like. They don't know nothing about me. And I can, just start, saying stuff, and, they don't live near me.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know where I live and stuff and all that. So I get to be more social and not really need to worry about it.
And then there's the sheer creativity of it all. From digital nightclubs to role-playing communities, movie nights to full-blown concerts, VR allows people to create and participate in social experiences that could not be possible otherwise. Some even find VR to be a place of comfort, an escape from real-world pressures where they can truly be themselves. One could even make the argument that, in a way, digital landscapes such as VRChat can end up being more social than reality. But for every connection formed in VR, a question lingers. Does this connection replace real-world interaction? Does it enhance it? Or does it hinder it in its entirety? That's where the other side of the conversation begins. While VR can be a place of connection, it also raises an uncomfortable reality. One that blurs the line between social and antisocial. For every deep conversation, there's the lingering fact that it all exists within a digital shell. The people you meet, the friendships you build, the places you visit, all of it vanishes the moment you take off that headset. And while VR can offer a sense of presence, it can also replace real-world interaction with something that only mimics it. There's also the question of escapism. The ability to craft an entirely new identity, free from real-world constraints, is undeniably appealing. But when does that freedom turn into detachment? For some, VR is a tool for self-expression, but for others, it becomes an easy way to retreat from reality altogether. The physical world becomes secondary, a place to eat, sleep, and wait until they can return to something that feels more comfortable. And then there's the issue of anonymity. While it can empower self-discovery, it also removes accountability. Without the social consequences of real-world, interactions can become volatile. Toxicity, harassment, and detachment. These are all side effects of a space where people feel untouchable. It creates a paradox. VR can foster incredible relationships, but it can also enable isolation, social stagnation, and behavior that would never fly in reality. So where does the line get drawn? When does VR serve as a tool for connection? And when does it become just another way to escape the real world entirely?
Do you think that relationships and friendships formed in VR are just as meaningful as real life ones?
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
I would say low. It would be a bit more meaningful in VR than real life.
It's mainly because with friendships and relationships that you make in real life, you know those people personally. You know, you get to know more about them. You see them face to face.
Yeah.
Person to person. While with VRChat and other games, when you make friends with, just random people, they could be on the other side of the world. Yeah, you can make some crazy friendships. I've heard stories of people meeting people that they've met on VRChat in real life. But it's extremely rare.
Yeah.
And most of the time, there's a lot. Like I have like what 600 friends on this game, and most of the people I don't even talk to anymore.
Do you ever feel like VR can fill kind of the hole for social interaction in your life?
Yeah, it's filling the hole pretty well.
Yep.
Yeah, it really could. Us humans are social creatures. We need, to be social with other humans and, be able to talk to people. And VRChat does have that where you can, talk to people. But in the end, it also depends on the type of person you are. Because, there's people out there that don't like talking to people much. And, but it does indeed fill that little gap just a little bit.
When does VR stop being social? This is something I started thinking about the longer I spent in VR. At first, I was just trying to observe and talk to people for this video. But then something happened. I didn't want to stop. I ended up staying in VRChat for hours, hanging out with the same group of people, just talking. It was fun. It felt real. And that's when the realization hit me. VR doesn't really stop being social, unless you want it to. Of course, not everyone has the same experience. Some people go into VR and use it to meet new friends, have conversations, or just hang out in spaces they enjoy. Others might use it to check out entirely, to avoid the real world, to isolate. But in my experience, it was about connection. Sure, it's digital. And sure, it's not the same as being face to face. But it still felt like I was a part of something. So maybe the better question isn't when VR stops being social, but who decides that? Because for some, it never does. For others, it never starts. It all depends on what you're looking for, and what you're bringing with you in that headset.
What do you think the impact of platforms such as VRChat is overall on like the social connection? Do you think it really isolates us more, or do you think it brings us all together, or is it somewhere in between?
I mean, it has its goods and bads, but there's some people that are just online all the time and cannot even step onto the blade of grass.
Yeah.
To ignore my stuttering. Anyway, and then there's fucking people that obviously are just chill, and then then there's some other people that can't speak to others online, which is fucking weird in my opinion. Yeah, but I mostly think people get brung together. It's pretty cool.
Depending on the community or the person in general, it can have a good impact, like a really good impact, or a really bad impact. Mostly depends on the person and when they start it.
It could be good and bad, but again, in my, experiences, it's been pretty good. And that's why I played this, game for so long, because I've had so many interactions and good interactions at that, but I've also had bad interactions. But yeah, it indeed helps with social interaction, I would say.
So, where does that leave us? We've seen that VR has a lot to offer. Games, media, full creative worlds. But it also has something more complicated. A social side that's both real and not. It lets people open up, connect, and explore different parts of themselves, but it also comes with risks, detachment, anonymity, and a kind of social stand-in that can feel real without always being real. VR can help people talk more openly than they would in person. It can create a space for communities that don't exist elsewhere. But it can also turn into a way to avoid the harder parts of real life. That's the paradox. It's social and it's antisocial. It's a place where people can build real friendships, and a place where others retreat from reality. And in the end, it comes down to the person using it. VR isn't one thing. It's a platform, a tool, a space. Whether it connects or isolates depends on how you approach it, and what you're hoping to find. So, Where does virtual reality stand for you? And as always, thank you for watching.